Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the breakfast show. I hope you had a great weekend, and after the masterclass session that we did the previous week, at least this weekend, all our coaches and ourselves have a chance to take a break in here. But no doubt we are back again with great topics and great material that we have about the stock market, and definitely in today the trading idea with SMARTRobie is no different in here. Now let's take a look at what we have for our headline. That's right. Now this morning our headlines, which will be focusing a lot on the KLSE, but not forgetting that today is our beginners level in here, and beginners level we usually focus on the Pentagon guide. That's right. We'll also be looking at what we have from last week too, and don't forget to join us in our Wednesday night as well, and all our breakfast show coming in every Monday to Friday except Wednesday. That's right. Now let's take a look. Except Tuesday. Now let's take a look at what we have today in our morning roundup of the news, and so far the talk has been on currency. Now no doubt a lot of the market punters are talking about how the ringgit will strengthen and so forth, but we have seen from the chart it really go against many of the market punters, and for some reason is because is it due to the current COVID-19 situation that we have, or is it partly of the weakening of the economy, which we continue to go lower as we seen the delay on the reopening of the economy in here. Now if you look at this is from economists saying that the market versus the ringgit is continuing to flatten. But let's take a look at the chart that we've seen so far. If you see from the chart here, now it's quite interesting to show, because most of the time a lot of these economists that write about it, they don't show the chart. The old high that we have was almost touching 4.45, and that was the middle of the COVID-19 in 2020. Okay, so right now we are heading back there, but we do have a resistance here at 4 ringgit 30 cents. So to me that seems to be the resistance for what we've seen with the ringgit versus the in here. Will it come back down? Now no doubt we have the Prime Minister, a new Prime Minister been sworn in, the ninth Prime Minister that we have, this Prime Minister Ismail Sabri. So he will be coming in, and what can he do for our economy? That should we have a stronger ringgit or a ringgit? What is your take? Type it in there and let me know too. But from what I've seen from the chart here, this is a weekly chart. We were likely to test the $4.30 level in here, but I don't think we should break any higher than that. That would mean ringgit will continue to weaken. Now let's take a look at the market, what we have this morning in here by looking at the KLCI market. And let's switch on to a wider chart here. So you can see this morning our market is still hovering at 1520, which seems to be the resistance that you've shown in here, right? And let's take a look at this market here. You can see this is where we are. Let me just show you on the chart here. And you could see right now, you can see my mouse here, right? So this is where the resistance is, the 1520, hitting it up here, and there will be many of this kind of tests before it breaks up. But no doubt we have the green pentagon, and usually we have found out if the market failed to break after 1 month or 2 months, the 1520, likely it would come down. So take note, it is one of the first few attempts that it did, and if you look back, it did, this is the second attempt that they have done so far. You can see the first one was in July here, and this is another one. Probably there will be another one. Very likely the market is just going to pulse back in this week in here. I don't see the market breaking higher, because the news is currently being absorbed by what Ismail Sabri with his new policies and his new also cabinet lineup. And if the market doesn't like the cabinet lineup, we will see a little bit of selling in here. But no doubt the 1500 support level has been established, and I don't think we're going to go lower than that level. So that seems to be the continued good news about it. Let's take a look at what we have on our next news. Now our next news in here is focusing on the Bursa, right? And there's a lot of talk about how Bursa came out with this S&P 500 global of the GDP growth being revised in here. So there's a lot of talk. Of course, a lot of economists are giving a very optimistic. Right now we are at 1500, but we have this economist seems to be way out from the formality of the market. He is expecting year end to be 1,700 in there. What do you think? Do you think this is going to go up? Sometimes I think these economists in there are really out of touch of reality. So far they can only comment that the technologies has been on the tear about 58% for the past 12 months, and certainly technology is very pricey, 60 to 90 times. I do agree, but those are the only one that is growing, and seems to be the rest, it seems to be very struggling. No doubt there is a lot of value in the market, as such that a lot of the economists is focusing a lot on automotive and banking stock. Now the banking stock, take it or not, is eventually are your public banks and your main banks. So if those stocks were to hold its level in here, then you'll see the market likely to recover. Okay, now let's take a look at where we are definitely from this morning. What are those stocks that seems to be in top gainer or at least bullish in here? The usual suspect is all those penny stocks that we see on top. MMAG, MPI is up 1.4%, Unisem is up, so that will tell you some of these stocks currently will still be technology. That's right, technology stocks. And let's look at some of the big decliner. CFM, Yinsun Oil and Gas, Hata 1.4% in here. So little bit of sideways market. That's how I see it. The best that our market generally would rally, if you look at the seasonal monthly chart that we have in our Trade VSA plugin, and for those who don't get a copy of our Trade Sitting plugin in here, there's some information on the right side. It will put you at the right position going forward in here. All right. Now let's take a look. The next is focusing on Pharma Niaga. Now, having been said, a lot has been talked about the vaccine rollout so far, and the government continue to buy 6 million dosage of vaccine, and it's going to be Sinovac COVID-19, which is one of the distributor in here. So Pharma Niaga is up revenue 82% in here. Let's take a look at Pharma Niaga so far on the chart wise, and you can see Pharma, and click on this Pharma here, switching to a wider chart here. So you can see chart wise, it is coming up from a very, very low base. All right, as soon as the news comes out, there was a real you can see here on this side, you can see definitely what we usually see, climatic volume. That's the one. Of course, in our trade-in plugin, you have a different color. That's one of the real benefit having a plugin in here. And the market turned into red pentagon, and since then, just finally turning green pentagon here. And the market seems to be heading upward, but there's still a lot of resistance in here. It is much better right now going forward in terms of chart wise. And let's look at the stock price this morning. Should be up. Yes, oh, it's down minus 1.1%, short of 1 ringgit in here. A lot of room to move up, but definitely you can see the resistance. Let's pinch this up a bit here, and definitely 1 ringgit 10 cent is your resistance. That's right. Okay, so let's move on to our next news. Now, next news is on Taan, which is a bit of play on the CPO market. We all know about the CPO market continue to make headways, but last week we talked about the so-called forecaster, a commodity forecaster market, saying that likelihood the CPO will trend back down because the 4,400 level seems to be due to the so-called harvesting season, which not able to, because due to the COVID-19, a lot of shutdown in here, that seems to bump up the price in here. Also saying that the current trend at 4,000 level is unsustainable in here. However, on Taan seems to be optimistic, a turnaround on their timber. Now remember, timber went very high out, and then timber market crashed also too. So that also have an impact on Taan. But this is definitely a good exposure for those of you who want a little bit of timber and palm oil on this matter. Now switching in into Taan, let's take a look at Taan right now here. And let's type in Taan. So you can see from Ta'an the stock price and stock chart, and what we have here is again a very nice technical rounding up at the bottom here, double bottom, and it has 2 ringgit 55 cent, and then you have the green pentagon in here. But CPO prices need to sustain above the 4,000, 4,200 for this chart to go up. Having said that, Ta'an another interesting development on this new by this analyst, saying that the CPO prices likely to stay above on the high mark there. They didn't say price level around 4,400 or 3,800 level. So he's talking about 3,800 to 4,600 level in here. As long as it stay up there, that's fine. But I think my take will be in the low 4,000 or 3,800 and likely to come down. On that premise, if you do have a higher CPO prices, then we will see Ta'an holding up in there. But right now, compared to many other sectors, it is still coming up from a low base. Unless we see a world rally in terms of oil, many of these stocks will tend to fluctuate between 250 to 270. So a lot of these tend to be very sideways market, and to make money, you need to be trading in and out, right? That's how I'll see the market as it is. So let's look on to the next one. It's just an interesting article based on Star Business that talks about, how much is your net worth. Now, like it or not, in summary, they talk about car, they talk about property, they talk about stocks, but what they wanted to give you that message was focus on experiences, focus on your financial literacy. And that's what always been what we do in Trade VSA in all our life habit, is to give you educational value that you can take home and really strengthen some of these areas. As I said before, many times we all make money as part of our salary, but we do not know how to invest it right now. Having this knowledge in here, where to put your money locally, whether in property or in stocks or asset, really depends on your experiences and your plan. Definitely from what we take to many of our public is to learn from us coaches as well as ourselves, how we invest our money, and that's the only thing we could do to benefit ourselves in here. Because if you don't increase your financial literacy, and the power of inflation is going to erode your money. So keep that in mind, and do join us in many of our workshops, and do join us also in our Telegram chat room to be informed of all our material that we have for you in here. Now also, let's move on to our US market, which continue to be in the uptrend. You can see from the S&P 500, we did have the red pentagon on early on, I think on Thursday, but Friday the rally came back up. You could see here, let me just pinch this up nicely and switching to a wider chart. So every tapering, right, is a scare, but what they're trying to say in here is market continue to be strong. Let me give you some background on the tapering. Now, a lot been said about the bond buying program that they have over the last 10-15 years, which actually been pushing up the stock market. Now, the Jackson Hole meeting in Wyoming, which I've been talking about, so they were looking for clues from the meeting summary saying that they are likely to do less bond buying. What does that mean? If you do less bond buying, which means very likely bond prices drop, then interest rate will go up. When interest rate goes up, that inflation, that means that's the end of the stock market. But I think this is unlikely. As I said before, a lot of these news tend to write very sensational, but market continue to go up, follow the trend that we've seen so far in here. And you can see the last shakeout that we have on the 18th of July, the market going higher. And tonight, definitely looking at the US market, will it retest back to hit for the 4,500 is usually to be quite interesting too. Now also, let's move on to our next news. Is a lot of focus on the Delta variant, on the COVID-19 that we continue to see in the market in here. Now, a lot has been said that the COVID-19 continued to stay on. So a lot of the pharmaceutical, like earlier we talked about Pharma, Niaga, will do well. And remember, the Pharma, Niaga is also talking about the third booster. Now, taking a trend from what we see from the US market here, definitely what we have is the continual reliance on COVID vaccine going forward. The COVID is here to stay. Having said that, it's not going to go away for the next 1 or 2 years. So a lot of the vaccine stock, in this case Moderna and Pfizer, tend to do well. Let me just show you what I mean. If you go to S&P 500, go to Robie chart, type Pfizer, switching to a wider chart here. Pfizer is PHE And if you look at Pfizer, looking at the stock chart and stock comment, you'll definitely see that this chart, right, since the green pentagon, you can see right at the bottom there, all the way to the up, 4th of July until now, it's almost up. Let me see, how do I know that? It's up, right, on the right hand side there, 23% in here. Now, the take is, will Pharma do the same what it does for Pfizer? Okay, now there is a tendency to that. The question is, will we see foreign funds coming in to Malaysia, which is another question, because if you do see some of this foreign fund coming in, then it's likely we'll see some of those stocks going up. If we don't see that, a lot of them is going to be pushing up distribution and then come back down. That is the market that we are seeing. What we hope to see is a similar trend that we've seen in the technology stock, which is taking a cue early on, like what the analysts say, which is up about 58% since beginning of the year. Following that cue that we see in the rally in the technology stocks in the US market, then we'll see the local technology stock moving up. Now we have seen Pfizer and Moderna has done almost 50 to 100% return, but our Sinovac and our D Pharma continued for. Why is that? Because it's just that the local retailer are not that matured yet. All right, so it's important to study your chart going forward. Now let's move over now next to the Singapore market. Now Singapore is a lot of focusing on economic growth and economic recovery in here. So the Pentagon lists something quite interesting is SATS, which is the Singapore airline terminals that managing the Changi airport in here. So if you look from the Singapore side, time in SGX and looking at Robie chart here, you will see the trending stocks is the chart SAT, right, S58. So S58, hit that one. Just click on this one here and you can see stock chart. And it does tells you a long period. Switching to a wider chart here, and you could see a very nice base here, low level accumulation, and then we have that green pentagon. More importantly is also Singapore, the parent, the index must also go up. And how do you know that? You go to STI market today, and you could see this needs to go back up to green pentagon. If it does go back up to green pentagon, then a lot of the stocks like what you see SAT will continue to hit higher. Else is likelihood we'll see some resistance in there. And again, the COVID-19 is jamming up a lot of the recovery that we've seen so far here. All right, so do take note on this cycle here. So we cover the Singapore market in here. Now let's move on to some of the stocks on the leaderboard. Since back in May, we still have ATA INS, which we talk about this stock trade idea on 2nd of August, as well as KSM. Again, most of them are technology stocks. And let's look at the two stocks that we picked somewhere back in on the 9th of August, 2 weeks ago, because we have a Monday absence where it was cancelled because due to the commitment that I have for the masterclass. Now if you look back from here, this was the chart that we talked about on the 9th of August. Okay, the 9th of August, switching to a wider chart here. All right, so here you could see market broke out, and usually we will move sideways in here. We have A and price level in here. We have volume coming in. We have the D level. We follow the trend zone. Let's take a look at where is revenue today. Now this is so switching. So make sure you subscribe to our plugin and to have all the intraday in here. That was definitely helped you well. And right now you can see there's a lot of tests here. Right, these are all the tests. We have the ATR stop loss. Of course, this will also tell you on the intraday level in here on the hourly chart. That tells you there's a lot of support here at 190. All right, so this stock hasn't run up yet. As I said before, it's going to be panned out a lot on the local sentiment that we have in our Bursa. And this morning Bursa seems to have resistance to break above 1520. That's why we have this market. No doubt it's still in the trend zone. Very important. We shouldn't have another sell off back here. Okay, so the other stocks that we have that we pick up is DNEX. And DNEX again after the upthrust, and take note, this is quite different from the SMARTRobie. You can see the climatic volume is actually been drawn in, and you can see we have an upthrust usually upthrust, it's a sign of weakness. We have this sell back up, and that's where Dagaman came in. So there's a lot of sellers coming up at 82.5 cents in here. So take note of it. Anything that pushes up will have some sellers. Now let's take a look at ATA iron maps. So ATA came back down. You have a spring here, which is the opposite of the upthrust, and the market mixed back up. So let's see if we'll take out the 288 level in here. Okay, let's take a look at what we have for this week. Now this week we have two trade idea, which is the 23rd of August, episode 108. Let's do this. Okay. So again, the setup is very similar, okay? So let's do this. We have this in here. So what is the weekly direction? Okay, let's look at the weekly direction. We turn this to a smaller screen here. Okay, weekly direction hasn't turned green pentagon. Has not turned green pentagon yet. Okay, daily chart, yes. Okay, daily chart is yes. Indication SMARTRobie turn green. SMARTRobie pentagon turn green on which is the 20th of August, which is actually last Friday, because today is the 23rd. Okay, important price level in here is 805. You can see, let's switch back to the daily chart. So you need a real time like this, so you can ensure that you can do your trading plan here. So you can see here, switching back to MFlour. Okay, you have a resistance being hit already. Okay, so we hit resistance at 805 and likely to move sideways for the time being. Now why I say that is because whenever you hit resistance and you can see climatic volume, right, the market's likely to move. So you might not see anything big movement up to the end of the week. Why will market, we have volume coming in after some SOS tests on the left side of the chart. Okay, let me just save this first. Okay, what is the low support here? Now switching back to here, low support is around 70.5 cents. Okay, and let's put in the date too. This is the 18th of August. High resistance is currently this part here, 18.5 cents. And what is the date for this one here? It's 22nd July. So we want to see the trend for another 1 or 2 months, okay? 1 to 2 months for uptrend movement. Now what it means is that likely the hood, we will see market moving sideways, but we want to see the trend move up. If it doesn't trend move up, then we don't want to be in this trend. All right, take a look at it, because right now you can see the KLCI still had that resistance 1520. Whatever you do, always look at the perspective of the overall main index. If the main index is not moving, many of these stocks will have resistance going up. Okay, take note of that. Okay, so that is our trading plan for the MFlour 23rd of August. We will come back and look at this next week. Okay, let's put this aside. And the other stocks which comes in play on the green pentagon is Tiguan, and you can see Tiguan again building up a nice base here, and breaking up back today. This morning is up 2%. You got a lot of overhead resistance in here, if the market were to break higher, as I said before, the main index, then we'll see a bit more play. Else it's going to hit resistance in here, and it's just going to move back sideways. Take note of that. The market is not really that bullish. A lot of the better plays are actually in the US market. All right, so that is the 2 trade ideas, which we will come back and look at it next week. Now going forward, just an update on our Green Pentagon fixed portfolio in here. So far we're about 8% compared to minus 6.8%, so we have beaten that by almost minus 6 plus 8, that's 17%. Okay, 17% compared to the KLCI in here. We are in plus 8% in here. Let's see, we are already in one trade this morning in here, and I'll probably update you on the next session that we have on the breakout, what stocks that we have taken up in here. And definitely going forward, we'll be depending and using a lot of our plugin to help us be informed, where you can access intraday messages, which I'll talk about, and better still, you can get hold of 51 markets together with our private members training and video tutorial that will put you into the right move. So make sure you get a copy of our Trade VSA plugin in here with installment plan available. Do contact the number. All right, now also this coming Wednesday will be our Wednesday night talk, and we'll be talking about the change in politics since we have the new Prime Minister 9 coming in. What is likely to be his policies, and going forward, how would the market react to it? So join me this Wednesday night for another interesting talk at 9:30 in here. All right. So also the next coming weekend, the following weekend that we have after the Merdeka, will be our regular Zoom session. As I said before, this is our continuation education that we have for our public and also for some of our members. So do join us from 2 to 4:30 on our Zoom technical analysis for TradingView for beginners. Okay, so we will show you some of the features that we have, and perhaps you will like some of the plugins that we have shown you, like I've just shown you just now on our TradingView in here. Definitely our session will be very beneficial to you, so make sure you join us there, and there's a QR code you can sign up for it as well as it is on our pin. All right, so right now we're going to be reviewing some stocks, and we really appreciate if those of you who find our services beneficial do go over to our Google Play Store and Apple Play Store to review our apps. All right, that's our apps that we have up there in here, and usually we just have to wait for your stock pick, and we'll be looking at some of those stocks that you have. All right, let's take a look at the Maybao. Yep, breaking back to after making a good earnings, red banner comes out, break back down here. All right, so that's the trend we continue to see a lot in. Okay, we have UI here, Inari and Volcano. Okay, red pentagon but haven't broke through the ATR stop loss yet. Now take note, every time when you see upthrust, right, do be careful. Okay, upthrust, the market likely to come back down. We have upthrust, the market holding up, so this seems to be good. You didn't break through the ATR stop loss. Let's look at Volcano. Volcano also similar. See, every time we see a long tail upthrust, market just going to break back down, which is not a surprise. So that's one of the strength of our SOW, right? And right now holding up, similar kind of picture with Inari in here. Amend to your trading plan, what you want to do with it. Okay, we have Sally, another student, Great Tech. Great Tech is still in a nice uptrend, and do get hold of this. So once you have the what we call, let me just put in the auto trend line here, okay? And then you could see, all right, here, okay, there's something. Okay, that seems to be some issue with the auto trend line there. What we do is we're going to use the pivot. Let me just bring this down here. Okay, now this is what I've talked about, something you want to get hold of. So once you turn on the auto trend line, once you subscribe to our plugin, you can see that trend is something, it's very simple. You can just follow it as long as it doesn't break below this trend line on the bottom. That is the low at it get. So if you are in, hopefully you follow the green pentagon, you got in at 550 here, and then you're up to this point, right? You are at 33%, do take some profit. Now most people, because they don't have the education or they don't have a plan, they tend to buy high. Is that correct? What price did you get it in, Sally Tay, the students in here? I do hope that you got in early on the 16th of June, right? And not up here. If you do get it up here, it is not partly your fault. It's because you've been, you wanted confirmation. You're using a lot of the so-called technique, which is usually gets you very late and end up losing. So I do hope that you're using the Pentagon for the right manner. And right now, you should be taking some partial profit instead of buying more, right? I think you have done the right thing, Sally. If not, do continue to follow us and join us for some of our session that we do on weekend, which will teach you a lot on the technical analysis in here. So that's in here. You bought at 553, which is 553. Yep, that's a good level. Great. Yep. The green pentagon in here, as long as it stays above the ATR stop loss, that's pretty okay. So that's why it's important to look at this every day, either on SMARTRobie or using our plugin to keep you into play. Okay. Let's look at the others, if we do have any. Then do let me know. Okay, we got Power Roots. Okay, okay, Maytech. Aslam, just let me know your profession if you're a masterclass or member. All right, then I will happy enough to answer your question, your stock. Okay, Awan Tech is Awan Blue. Now this one in here, very quick, jump up in here. Definitely quite interesting. That we see here, market has gone back up. Today it's continued to jump. That looks pretty decent. As I said before, you got this climatic volume in here, but you're going to hit resistance in here. Be careful. I wouldn't go in right now, right? Definitely you can see the auto trend is still pointing downwards, but the fact that it broke through, hits a bit in here, we might see a little bit of resistance again. Wait for the pullback, then you want to get back in. If you have got in earlier, that's fine. All right, you've gone in earlier. The trend is pointing downwards. It's sort of right now the trend is turning down, and then you have this auto trend like breaking up, and that's a good thing too. All right, that's a good thing too. So make sure. Okay, we have Aslam, which is a public doctor. All right. Okay, let's take a look here. Power Roots. Okay, Power Roots, very nice. You can see this is what we talk about. Green pentagon in here. The trend line is pointing more of a sideways like accumulation. So when you try to break through up here, that's usually it's a good beginning of a new trend. No doubt you got a lot of resistance. Again, very similar to revenue. Likely the market will pull back, and watch out for those pullback volume in here. Also look at the on the trading view here, you got another earnings come up. So that will be on the 1st of September. So it is likely to be a good results. Then you'll see profit taking like to be here. That's usually the case that we get. Okay. Then let me know. Okay, we got Simon Lambert. Okay, ARRB on our members. Okay, ARRB, green pentagon pushes up. Again, climatic volume market still holding up in here. And do take note of the trend line. It's sideways, that's pretty good, and we are breaking up, and look for this trend line to sort of auto trend up. Once you get this auto trend up in here, that will be much better in here. All right, we got the okay, we got K-prop. K-property. What stock is that? K-prop, I can't find it here. K-prop. Okay, Simon, do let me know the right code for the K-prop. Okay, then let me know what is your profession, whether you're a masterclass member or not. Okay, I'm going to move over to here. Sally, you bought at $6. Wow, you bought Great Tech at $6. Let's take a look. Okay. You bought it at $6, which is around here. Yeah, that's not too bad. $6 is somewhere around here. All right, $6. Right now take some partial profit, as I said before. If you have gone in around here up to here, right, as I said before, we follow the fixed rules. At 30%, take some partial profits. Okay, and let's move on to another stocks here. Okay, with Tyree we have then here KUB. Alright, KUB, and KUB uptrust. Trends are turning up, that's certainly good, and you can see this auto trend line here will have some sort of support. If you extend this little dot here, probably in here will be your support at 16.5 cents, but that is also your stop loss. So right now KUB, climatic volume usual distribution already. Alright, every time when you see this climatic volume, so that's why it's important to ensure that you read the volume well. With the climatic volume, and usually in our plugin we paint it as turquoise, the color will be quite different from the SMARTRobie. Alright, so here right now you got a lot of resistance, so there's going to be a lot of sideways price action in here, but very important, stay with the auto trend line. We don't want the auto trend line to turn back flat, continue to move upward, then you'll be fine. So the auto trend line is very, very helpful. All right. Okay, KP prop. Okay, KPP prop. Oh, Kajaya, it's called Kajaya. Okay, now Kajaya, right now you can see trends are turning down. Definitely it has started to move back up, breaking back into the upper trend line channel in here. That seems to be good, but be careful. We got uptrust, and usually uptrust we'll see a bit of profit taking, and also we can notice this climatic volume in here. No doubt if you've gone in here, you've been holding up for some while. Okay, and this is coming up from a very, very low base in here. Okay, this is actually the bottom fishing. Remember the trade we talked about? 18th of August will be a good entry level there. Okay, okay, so if there is no more stock trade idea, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be updated in all our tutorials and webinars, so you don't miss out. And also don't forget to join our Telegram chat room in here, and do share it with your friends. If not, I'll see you on Wednesday and some of our private member tutorial if you are a member of our masterclass. That's right. Bye bye.